excited to welcome Sainty and Eric Nelsen to the podcast today. Sainty is one of my oldest friends, if not my oldest friend, and watching her career blossom, watching her relationship with her husband Eric blossom has been really special, and they really are such powerhouses separately, but together they are unstoppable. And that is what I really took away from this episode was putting family first, putting your partner first, and the way they communicate to each other is so beautiful. And I was taking tips, not gonna lie. So I think you guys are really gonna love it. It was such an honor. They're just so great, and they're gonna accomplish such amazing things in the future. So be sure to watch out for them. But for now, let's please welcome Eric and Sainty Nelsen to the podcast. Okay, so I kind of give a little background of how I know you guys, but Sainty is I think my longest friend.
Forever.
Sainty was born she's a Taurus like me. She was born a year before me. And so there's never been a time where I didn't know Sainty. Our parents were friends in the 80s. I think they met at a wedding.
Yeah, and your dad was in the hospital when I was born.
My dad was in the hospital when you were born?
He was one of the first people to hold me.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that so cool?
So sweet. I love that. So Sainty she's been ingrained in my life my entire life. And now I have also inherited her amazing husband, Eric, who I was at their wedding. Sainty and I had a really fun time in New York where we had to scheme. Do you remember, Eric, where we had to scheme y'all's Valentine's Day plans?
Oh,
and I told Sainty I was taking her to Bravo.
Wait, that seems like lifetime ago.
Wow.
I mean, probably 11 years ago.
Yes. Okay, so Sainty grew up in Fort Worth, and she started in theater at age 3. She was in over 40 productions, and then you went to Baldwin Wallace College in Ohio, where I visited you, and you did extremely well. And then after that, in 2011, you went to Disney World, and you played Dory. Tell me about your career goals when you were graduating college. What was that next step? Like, how did you think Disney was going to factor into your life, and where did you want to go from there, Sainty?
It's so interesting. Like I grew up in theater, so I really wanted to hone in on the Broadway market. And I loved that. And in college, on the side, I did voiceover too. So right when I moved to New York in 2011, I booked Dory in the Broadway Finding Nemo, the musical at Disney. So it was a ton of Broadway veterans and actors that have all gone on to Broadway. So it was amazing. It was the next kind of step I thought in my career, jumping right in. And Disney's so amazing. And it was like, how can I not take that opportunity that I was given? I think it was like June of moving to New York.
Right when you graduated.
So it was amazing. And then from there, it was like, that's when people kept on talking to me about like, your voice is so interesting. You have such a different voice. So I think that really launched my voiceover world.
And that's what's amazing about Sainty is because you're always kind of in the spotlight with your TV, whatever you're doing with television, theater, being on stage. But then behind the scenes, you've always kind of had this voiceover work that you've been doing. And that is a really great moneymaker for actors. I know my dad would do that on the side when he was not doing a lot of radio gigs. And so I just think the hustle is amazing, especially to be kind of out in the spotlight and then to have this behind the scenes thing that you do. It's really amazing.
Totally. Thank you so much, sister. We always say like to make it in the voiceover industry, somebody has to die out. So it's kind of morbid, but it's such a cool, amazing, small industry and everybody's incredible. So nobody wants to leave it. So and I always giggle. It's like you kind of got to hone in on that perfect time to enter in. But I've been so grateful for it. I mean, I did a voiceover in the hospital the day after giving birth to Molly Morgan, and then
oh my
God.
The
week before. So it's like it's so cool for a female, especially in the TV film industry. You can't really most of the time be 9 months pregnant on set, or you at least give yourself some time after the baby. So with voiceover, it's like you can do it the entire time, except maybe in the delivery room. But other than that,
I wouldn't put it past you.
No kidding. Right?
I mean, even throughout
you're like, I have a deadline. This baby better come.
Yeah, it was crazy because, all the industry shut down during the pandemic except for voiceovers because you could remotely record from your home studio. So she was like busier than heck during the pandemic, thank God, because I was just sitting around twiddling my thumbs for a year. But voiceovers was our kind of godsend gift throughout that whole time period because that business was thriving throughout all of it.
Totally. It makes so much sense. So, Eric, I want to give a little background on you. You're from West Palm Beach. You are the epitome of the moved to New York at a young age. You went to the performing arts high school, and then you were in the musical 13, which I know all my musical theater people know and adore because I think it was one of the first really amazing musicals that we saw as young people where we saw other young people in it, and I know that changed a lot of people's lives, especially like the young theater people. And then you got your first Emmy at 23 years old.
Yeah, it still sounds so crazy when you
Tell
say
me
it like
about the
that.
trajectory from performing arts high school to then getting an Emmy at 23.
Well, it was wild because, like you said, I'm originally from South Florida and did not come from a performing arts family whatsoever. Both parents are from Duluth, Minnesota, and had nothing to do with the arts. So it was kind of random how all of us kids kind of got into it. But then went to New York, and it was just kind of right place, right time. I started working hard, and I fell in love with the art, so I knew I wanted to do it in some capacity. And then it was just kind of one of those snowball effects, when you're in it and you're in the city and you're around it and you're around all these successful people, it just kind of lends itself to, blossoming if that's, where your heart is. And so that's basically what happened for me. I did a lot of my training at the Performing Arts School in Manhattan. And then I happened to book 13 on Broadway, and that was like a career life-changing moment for me. And I really think that was the moment where I was like, "Okay, this isn't just a fun passion. This is something I think I can do for the rest of my life, and I want to do for the rest of my life." And that kinda gave me the platform to be able to pull that off, I guess, and to kinda launch
Totally.
me in a way. But and then from there started doing more film and TV after Broadway and really fell in love with that side of the industry. And then I met Sainty. I'm pretty sure I just hit puberty and we met.
I know.
But no, we were young,
Very
and
young.
it was kind of fun because Sainty comes from like she's got a brilliant mindset for the arts, but also a brilliant mindset for business. And I had built up all these connections throughout my time in New York on the entertainment side of things. So together we were kind of like, well, what if we kind of partner up and, when we're not busy working on jobs, which, it's a lot of ups, a lot of downs, let's produce, let's create our own
Mhm.
content, get to work with our friends and people we can hire everyone we love to be a part of it. And let's just see how that goes. And let's just, instead of wait around for a job, let's create one for ourselves. So we started by producing this independent film called Chasing Yesterday, which did well. And we went to the whole festival circuit and stuff. And then shortly after that, I got an opportunity. I just finished doing All My Children, and I was presenting at the daytime Emmys actually. And a guy comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, I've got this new internet show." And at the time, internet TV was very new. And
Mhm.
it's called The Bay, and we've got a lot of soap veterans and daytime stars on it, and we think you'd be perfect. So long story short, end up taking the job, going out to LA, and coming off of our first producing venture, I was like, "Hey, I'd really like to be able to come on board as a producer as well, and kind of have a little more of that creative say and see what we can do from there." And that was the first year that the show ended up actually winning a daytime Emmy, um, for like best, digital series or whatever. And that was, when I was 23, and we were both
Yeah.
producing it at the time. And it just kinda from that moment on, we were like, "Oh, we gotta keep producing
Yeah.
too. This is fun,"
Yeah,
you
that'll
know?
give you a confidence boost. I think winning an Emmy will make you will validate your feelings that you should be doing that.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, people are actually gonna take our calls now, I
I
think.
know.
Right? That Emmy will definitely get you places. Okay, I wanna talk more about your relationship. Speaking of you being, like, just gone through puberty when you guys met, I know the story and I love it. Can you tell the story of how you guys met?
Yeah. Well, I was actually best friends of his cousins. So I had just moved to New York and oh gosh, this is so bad to say, but I had a very amazing, sweet, serious boyfriend at the time for five and a
Yes.
half years. And my whole mindset was like, I'm gonna be on Broadway. That is all that was my mind. I really didn't believe in marriage and things like that, even though I'd been around it my whole life. My whole
Mhm.
goal was like, I'm gonna be a star on Broadway.
Right.
And so I'm sitting there with Tess at this Mexican restaurant. What was it called? Blockheads.
right?
Outside.
Blockheads.
Yes.
Iconic, which is actually closing or just closed. I'm so
I'm
sad.
so sad.
No, that is such a New York
It is iconic.
institution. Oh my God, that's so sad.
So-
Especially in our 20s. Those margaritas were very
Ooh,
strong.
bulldogs.
Mexican bulldogs.
Yes, they're so good. So I'm sitting there, and I guess you were getting keys from her, and this skater boy who was 19 years old, I mean, 19, skated up, and that was it. I saw him, and I was like,
On a skateboard.
everything in my life just like fell. I saw my whole life play out in front of me. I was like, that's my husband. I'm in love with him. And he obviously, I hadn't even said hi to him yet. I mean, all this is going on in my mind just by seeing him. And I just had to fight for him. I just knew that he was mine forever.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then
it
we
was
just started
crazy.
hanging out right away. And I'm pretty sure we didn't spend a single second apart for like 3 years in a row. And then it was just like, okay, this is it. We're done. I mean, I can't believe this is happening.
And you were a baby.
Yeah.
A baby.
Yeah,
both of you.
I'm telling you, like the puberty thing. It's like real. Like, she helped.
You're
She
still
like,
on a skateboard.
yeah, she helped me grow up, and she still is actually. But
No, I know. 11 years
No, but
later.
That's the beautiful thing about y'all's marriage is that you just keep meeting each other where you are and you keep growing together. And the fact that you have this empire together just makes it even sweeter so you can enjoy your success that much more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about your wedding because it was the most amazing wedding I've ever been to. But can you share also? I know my listeners will want to hear about the engagement at Disney on stage.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, she was doing Finding Nemo, and we had to spend. It's funny because I was doing a play in Cincinnati at the time while she was in Orlando, and we each had like one day off a week, and we'd fly out after the night performance, fly to the other person's city, spend the night together, have like the next morning, and fly back to make sure we made
Oh
our
my
show.
gosh!
So
Wow.
we did that for
10 months?
I mean, yeah, 10 months.
Wow.
And
every week.
Yeah. And so then I knew that the Disney was coming to an end for her, and they worked her so hard on that show, and it's such a demanding job, and she's flying in through the air, singing songs, and this, that, the other. It was a lot on her, and I knew that I wanted to make sure that her time there was kind of ended with a bang and something really, really memorable. And I knew I wanted to propose, so I was like, you know what, that'll be the perfect place to do it. So I had her whole cast in on it. And I did it actually on the stage, and the lighting guy was able to do the spotlight, and we had our favorite Ray LaMontagne song playing when she walked out, and the rose petals all over the stage, and she thought she was coming for an interview, kind of
like a goodbye.
Yeah, like your time is done. We always like to interview our cast members before they end up leaving us, and she turned the corner, and it was just me kneeling in the middle of the stage waiting for her. It was perfect.
Shot. It was perfect.
Yeah, it somehow went off without a hitch, and I don't think you knew.
No idea. Oh my goodness, no.
Yeah, but
I love it.
It was memorable to say the least.
For sure. And then this wedding, y'all, did you have 1,000 guests?
I mean, I think it 700-800. I mean, it was bonkers, which is even scarier now in the land of COVID. Like you think of that many people and you're like, your heart like starts to palpitate.
No, truly. But it was the most incredible wedding. It was in Fort Worth the day after Thanksgiving, and Sainty loves Christmas. So it had a lot of Christmas influence. And then it was kind of like a Christmas in New York theme. So you go in the ballroom. Y'all, it was the most amazing wedding I've ever been to. My mom came for the cocktail hour, and I'm sitting because it was formal, I was sitting in my gown, and I was eating a hot dog because they had different little New York. And I'm sitting eating a hot dog in a ball gown. I was like, this is the only wedding that I ever want to go to. If I can't eat a hot dog in a ball gown, I'm not going anymore. Okay, so I'm really I want to hear, you guys have so many projects, and I know it can get really easy to get distracted when you have so much going on, and you guys have so many talents cumulatively that you want to explore. How do you stay focused? And do you guys have I'm really into hacks. Can you share any hacks with my listeners on productivity tools that you use, any morning routine stuff that you guys do to kind of keep yourself focused?
Oh gosh, definitely. I mean, it is really hard, especially now that we have 2 babies. We have a 3-month-old and a 2-year-old. And so a lot of the time it sounds so silly, but we'll like text each other all day throughout the day to kind of bring it back to us too. Because it is so hard when we're going, like I spend so much of the time in the voiceover booth or just being a mom 24/7. Right. And then he's on set in the middle of nowhere being a cowboy. it's like that's kind of where I mean, we're such Texers. It kind of brings us back in line. And I think for a while before Mick, is in the morning we would wake up together and just have coffee together, because at the end of the day, it's about us two, our children. Our goal is for them to find their people and start their families. So I feel like for us two, our main focus was this foundation together, and
Mhm.
everything else can excel around that. So
And fall into place.
definitely
Yeah,
careers, children, just life in general. If we're not solid, I feel like everything else is shaky. So I think
absolutely.
that was our main priorities, just even so silly coffees in the morning. And we always do like a New Year's, we call it a contract. So we write like our goals and we each have to sign it and get another witness. And
I love
it's
that.
so
That's
silly, but
great.
it's kind of, if you see it on
Yeah.
paper, it's like how people have the mood boards. Well, we do like an official legal contract.
And is it commitments that you want to make in your marriage or just on your own goals, or what does that look like?
Everything. Like 1 year before Molly Morgan, it was like start, the family process. And
Mhm.
that, and mine was, we usually do something family and then something career. So mine was like to do my first series regular. And I think yours was first series, oh, not first series regular, but yours, you had what was yours that year? I think it was just to be a lead on a TV show. This was the year
Sounds
from,
right. I feel like
I
every
know.
year I just want to keep that going. No, but yeah, no, you nailed it on the head. And I mean, I've got a little hack too, because at least for me, it helps like at night times. There's this app called Calm, and we're both
Mhm.
so busy. Oh, so you know it. Yeah, we're both so
Oh, yeah.
busy and like on a 10 all day, every day. Now we have the two kids and everything. And I'll put my little earbuds in when Sandy's like reading her book at night. And it's an app called Calm. And it like basically teaches you, if you don't know how to meditate, to like meditate and shut your mind off and like really calm yourself down at night. And I used to wear this Whoop band, which like tracks your sleep, heart rate, and all that stuff. And I started doing that meditation at night, and my resting heart rate dropped so low and my sleep got so deep, and I truly felt the most rested I've ever felt in my life after doing these. And it's only like a few minute meditation each night before bed, and it's more just like, helping you just calm down. And that was I think the greatest gift for my I don't know, insides, was that app. It
Totally.
really, really, really helps you relax and helps you just kind of deflate and get a good night rest, which is really hard to do these days. So that's my little
Totally.
hack at nighttime.
No, that is like the perfect hack. I love this is the goal for this podcast is those kind of things can change people's life. Like I listen to Calm every single night too. That meditating into your sleep just makes you wake up with such a clear mind. You like you said, your heart rate's low. I think that's a great hack. Do you guys listen to the sleep stories on there?
I haven't yet, actually.
They have all these celebrities. I literally listen to Harry Styles every single
I love that. I'm definitely gonna check
He's amazing. Yeah, so definitely check that out. Okay, I have a little game. Do you guys want to play a little game?
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Okay. Um, you've worked with a lot of celebrities. We're going to go into that in a second, but I'm just going to name a celebrity each of you has worked with, and I want you to describe them using just one word. This is like a Bravo game.
Okay.
Okay, Eric, Ariana Grande.
Superstar.
That's a good one. Sainty Bryan Cranston.
Legend.
Mm-hmm. Eric, Tim McGraw. Can you use just one word?
I was gonna say Big Brother. Goofball.
Oh,
Goofball.
goofball. I love that. Okay, Sainty Jennifer Gardner.
Perfection.
I love that. Is she everything that she comes
Everything.
off as?
Oh my gosh, like the sweetest human being alive. You just forget people are celebrities sometimes.
I
And
love
her
that.
and Bryan Cranston are like that. They're so regular and kind. And I mean, we were nobodies. So just to sit there and talk to us and be so sweet to us is like, I'll always remember that.
I love that. And every time I hear anything about Ben Affleck and Jennifer Gardner, I hate Ben Affleck because I'm so Team
Team
Jen.
Jen.
I
All the
hear
way.
she's incredible. I hear she's amazing. Okay, so I asked you guys before. I like to call this segment the playlist of my life. I love hearing the songs that have influenced you, the songs that really resonate with you as a couple. So I asked, and you guys gave me a list. So I'm gonna just 5 songs. I'm just gonna list them out, and I want to hear the story behind why the song is influential to you. So the first one I think I know is "Oh What a Night" from Jersey Boys.
Yes.
Which was kind of the theme of our wedding, actually.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with Jersey Boys. And that was when we brought New York to Texas. I was like, what other way to explain this than "Oh What a Night"? That was the whole theme of the wedding, and the Midtown Men, who are the original cast of Jersey Boys, performed. So it was like no other way to explain us and our relationship and everything than "Oh What a Night."
I love it. And then you said earlier for your proposal, "Let It Be Me" by Ray LaMontagne, who is so incredible. So that was the song playing when you proposed to Sainty.
Yes, it was. And we actually got to see him in Central Park in New York years ago. And I remember we went with, I think, my cousin and her boyfriend at the time, boyfriend at the time. And we went all together, but it was like early on in our relationship. So like we somehow disappeared and like had our whole own experience and night to Ray LaMontagne, and like completely forgot about my cousin and her boyfriend and just like made it our own special, unique experience. I still feel bad about just like completely ditching them, but it was just like one of those moments we had in our relationship where we were just like
Lost.
Yeah, and his music just spoke to us, and like just both equally. And it was just from that moment on, we're like, favorite artist,
He's our person. Yeah.
this guy.
His voice is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
Sainty, I was not surprised about this one. "Tomorrow" from Annie.
We have this thing here in Texas debutantes. And when you walk out, mine was "Tomorrow." And it's so weird. My daughter just started singing "Tomorrow" from Annie. And Daddy-O started crying.
I would too.
So that was kind of it. I was like, now, like Molly Morgan's always, she doesn't realize you need to say, "Alexa, play "Tomorrow" from Annie." So she's always like, "Play "Tomorrow" Annie." And we're like, "Alexa, play "Tomorrow" Annie." So it's a big hit in our house right now is our Annie.
Did you ever play Annie?
No. I think
Were you ever in Annie?
I was Dot. Like I was a made up orphan.
Yeah.
I was like I think I was a little too much of an alto to be Annie.
Yeah, I can see
but
that.
One day, maybe my daughter.
Maybe we'll do a revival.
Sets foot in any role in that show, I will lose my mind.
You just can't do it.
No. I watched like the new Annie live, and I thought of her, and I was just like crying the entire. I had to shut it off. It was like too emotional.
Oh my god, you'd be so sweet. You'd be a good Miss Hannigan, Sainty.
I mean, I would die. I would love it.
That would be hilarious.
I can see it.
Probably
so good
in production.
Oh
I'll be Miss Hannigan.
Yes, let's make that happen.
There you go. I love it. You just make a little surprise appearance. Okay, I love this song, "Love Like Crazy" by Lee Brice. Is that just a story of your love story?
It is. We heard it. We were young, and it came on one day. I remember when it like came out on the radio, and we were both just like hanging on to every single word. We're like, "Wait, he's singing to us. That's you. That's me. Like this is our song."
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to throw that in there because I think that's been our song longer than any other song.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is just us. Is like we're best friends first, and there's no Sainty without Eric now. So it's just like it's so true. I just don't know life without him.
You're gonna make me cry on this podcast today. I have something. Remind me after this song. I have something to say about that too. Last song, "Take Me Home, Country Road" by John Denver. What's the relevance there?
That's our party go-to.
Yeah.
Mommy and Daddy let their hair down and just get drunk in a karaoke bar, or when we're on vacation, and we always find piano bars everywhere we go. And of course, that's a staple that you'll hear everywhere.
Totally.
And when it comes on, we
go bonkers.
Yeah.
That's the party song.
And both of our families, like it's both of our families' song.
Oh, that's so cute.
So it's like any boat rides, or if we're like on a mountain in a lodge, it's like Country Road. That's it.
I'm sure there are a ridiculous amount of embarrassing videos of our families just like blaring, singing that, and like drunk in a bar somewhere, thinking we're nailing it, and probably so embarrassing.
No, that's iconic. That's definitely iconic. Have y'all been to Nashville?
No.
Have you been? You have to go to Nashville and go on Broadway. They play this in every bar. I want to take y'all. That would be so fun.
I've never done Nashville. So
that would be so fun.
I need to do Nashville, Caroline style.
Tim and all them are out there, and he keeps saying we got to get out there too. So we got to make like a whole big thing of it.
I'll take you and show you around, and then you introduce me to Tim McGraw for the podcast. It's going to be perfect.
Done and done.
That's it.
We'll show you all the fun places to go. Okay, so back the Love Like Crazy Lee Bryce song. I love that song because it just reminds everyone of what's important in growing old and building a family and building a legacy. And I feel like these days that's kind of not everyone's priority. Everyone's very focused on kind of their own selves, or whether that's being famous or prioritizing social media or your work. How do you keep those kind of old school mentality while you're growing and you have all these opportunities? How do you guys stay connected in that way and stay focused on building your family?
Well, I mean, I think from day one, we kind of realized pretty quickly that what a blessing it is to experience a success together, first of all. And, so oftentimes people create this incredible careers and then they meet afterwards, and it's, they've each got their different worlds, but we kind of got lucky and we were always like, that's our glue. Whereas in a lot of cases that can be the thing that hurts some couples is, especially being in the same industry and like competition and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
There's a lot of ups and downs. We're like, well, if we make that our, glue, and we always come first, and we know that, our careers is more of a joint effort than an individual thing that we both kind of support. It really is. We bounce, like everything off each other, even in terms of like, do we accept this job? Do we want to accept this job? Where do we want to go from here? Just making sure that this is the foundation always, and everything else kind of branches out from us, as opposed to our own individual things that somehow try to make work together.
Totally. And I know at a time when we first got married, I was new to the film and TV world. And it was just hard for me, is because Eric will play love interest. And I really didn't, I mean, I'm just a Texas girl. So that was really hard for me to understand. And I remember Eric turned down jobs for me at the time until I really was able to like learn how to handle it. And I mean, thinking about that now, it's so crazy that he did that for me, and so amazing that he did that for me. So it is a trial and an error that we've had to learn. And especially with social media and the downside of social media sometimes, and we get slammed with it. But I think we always go back to us two and checking in with each other and like, are you okay with this? And like his cast members are always so amazing to me. And I feel like sometimes I get to text with them more than he texts with them. So we've been so blessed that all of his jobs, they've really made me feel like I'm a part of the family as well. So which has been so helpful, especially in both of our industries.
Well, and it seems like both of you are really good communicators. And I think that's obviously so important with the texting and just keeping in touch with each other, because I think it could be so easy. You guys understand where each other's coming from since you're in the same business. But I'm sure when he goes away to cowboy school, and he's doing his work, or you're traveling, I know it can be really easy to disconnect. So I'm sure I think that communication is just probably the most important thing to you guys, right?
Totally.
100%.
And knowing each other at the beginning, especially while Eric was filming 1883 and still filming, our son was deathly ill from birth to about 9 weeks.
Yes.
So, and I was doing it by myself with a sweet lady that would help me at night, Leanne Barnes. And I was, in such a dark place because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with my son. And so poor Eric, it's like he would go to his job, but have me calling him all the time, bawling. And obviously he was so grossly worried about us, but I think I never had to be insecure about me being down or depressed because Eric knew who I was, the foundation of me, and know that we could get through it. Like it was the best time of our lives because of this incredible job, but also the worst time of our lives when it came to our son. So it was such a up down. Like I felt like God loved him. It was like he really couldn't enjoy being there. I always feel like 1883 kind of saved our family, because without Eric going to work every day, I don't think we both could have been able to handle what was going on at home. So he had to remain strong. So I'm going back to the question. I think it's just because both of us know who we are at the end of the day.
At the core.
At the core. And that's been, I think, incredibly important, because everything is goes up and down, and COVID and just life.
Yeah, and y'all have been through a lot. You've been together a long time, so you've kind of seen the ups and downs. So yeah, that's really important to
Totally.
keep each other grounded, especially. I want to talk more about what happened with Mick because I have a lot of moms that listen, and this situation y'all were in can happen to anyone.
Anyone,
Anyone.
and
It
it was misdiagnosed for a bit because it's so easy to
Ooh,
say,
ooh, it gives me chills, y'all. Like it's crazy.
yeah,
oh,
because your child is throwing up after every single bottle, and it's so easy because so many kids do that, and so it's so
Right.
easy, to assume like, oh, it's bad acid reflux. So we were on all this reflux medicine, for
9 formulas. I
yeah,
mean,
changing
Oh my
formulas every
gosh.
other day. Maybe he's allergic to dairy. Maybe it's this.
yeah.
Why can't he keep his bottles down? And finally, I mean,
It was kind of a godsend. This was 9 weeks, and we went to his 8-week appointment, and he hadn't gained any weight. And if you look on my Instagram today, I even posted a picture. He looked so deathly ill. But at the
Oh
time,
my
and people were
god.
like, "Well, y'all are more petite people, so he could just be a
Right.
smaller guy. He could have a super fast metabolism because look at his dad." And I remember our sweet lady that was helping me at nighttime, she couldn't come that day. So I sat all night with this baby that was screaming, throwing up everywhere.
Oh.
And I just started getting on the phone. My sweet sister-in-law, my mom, we just started J-Max Slaughter, got on the phone with
Mm-hmm.
him and my OBGYN, and she started calling all these pediatricians, my incredible pediatrician, because he didn't have all the symptoms of this, I think it's called a phyloric stenosis.
yeah, that sounds right.
And
It's a
it's a
scientific term. It's actually
Right.
really rare. I guess it's like
200 babies or 200,000 babies out of 4 million a year. So that's
Oh, wow.
bonkers.
Wow.
And your
Wow.
esophagus is being strangled, so you're getting no food.
Oh
it's
my
basically like
gosh.
an overgrown muscle by your esophagus, so
Esophagus.
none of the food is able to get down. So it was just
And he was like projectile. Like I remember because J Mac and I talked about it. It was like hitting the wall. That kind of crazy
It was
vomiting.
only every now and then. So it was like he wasn't a
Oh,
stereotypical case. It was
right.
like my sweet Leanne was helping me every night. I mean, she was just like stuffing food down him. I mean, we were doing
Right.
anything we could. I mean, we had our whole house rigged for this sweet baby. And I called him, if I think it's Children in the Attic is the old books, and it was made into a movie, and I called it The Boy in the Attic because he lived upstairs because I had Molly and Morgan and him separated every day
Oh
because
my
he would be crying 24/7. So she would cry. So she really didn't even know she had a brother. It was so,
oh
and
my
daddy was
god.
gone.
Yeah.
And poor thing when he was home, it was just, am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it was just a shit show,
It's a good show.
and man,
Yeah.
I'm so grateful, and I will say we're incredibly blessed in the sense that there was a super easy solution and a surgery, and he's a chunkadunk now, and my heart goes incredibly, just hurts for all the moms that there isn't as quick of a solution.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I was so incredible for the doctors at Cook Children's, and we got so blessed that it was fixed and now he's thriving.
and bottom line too for any moms that might, be thinking something is wrong with their child or whatnot. What I learned from watching how Sainty handled all this is trust your gut and your
Yep.
intuition and listen to
Yep.
yourself regardless of what your own doctor tells you or anyone else in your life, because it's been proven time and time again that every time Sainty actually listens to herself and her intuition, it's right.
That's so sweet.
And it's unbelievable to me what a mother's intuition can do.
Oh,
And so I would say, just as a bystander witnessing what she was going through, was listen to yourselves, all the moms out there.
and I just kept, I mean, everyone kept saying, "You probably have postpartum depression." I mean, that's what
Sure.
I was getting like daily. And I felt like I was going crazy. I was like, it was so, I've never been like that in my life. And it was like, something is wrong.
Is
It's
wrong. You just
not
knew
normal.
immediately.
This is not, and I was like, I've been a mom. I can not handle reflux because reflux is horrible. But I was like, this is just not that. This is something
Right.
else. It's just not right. So it's very true. It's at the end of the day with any of us, mom, just trust your gut. Your gut never fails you.
No, and it's unfortunate that we have to do it, but you have to advocate for yourself. You know, in our healthcare system, you will have so many people that will just tell you no, but you just keep. That's the bottom line, right? You just have to keep trusting your gut and just keep advocating for yourself. It can be so hard.
Totally. And I always say you're never going to regret doing what you want to do. Like you'll always
Totally.
regret listening to somebody else or doing somebody else's opinion. But I'm always like, if we make a choice, Like, it's our choice. It's our fault if it goes wrong. It's our fault in a good way if it goes right. So it's,
Right.
like, always good to trust your gut.
I love that. So as I'm researching you guys, I already know you're my dear friends, but I just wanted to just do more research. And the overall word that comes to me as I'm doing the research on you guys and reading the interviews that you do and seeing what you post on social media is kindness. And I know you guys, so I know that that's genuine. And that's really rare. And I know that you attribute being kind to people for some of the opportunities that you've had. Is that something that was inherently in you? Is that something you kind of learned early on? Like you've seen people in theater and you say, you got to kill them with kindness. How did you incorporate kindness in your career?
I mean, I do think we were both blessed to be born into wonderful families who really instilled that in us. And we both come from very large families. And so we've had a lot of good role models and examples set for us leading into that. But at the end of the day, I think we realized pretty quickly it's a a big world and a big industry, but it's also really, really small. And what
Mhm.
goes around comes around. And we just our motto is just be nice to everybody, because guarantee you're going to cross paths again, or you're going to be on the same set again. And there's enough people out there who can kind of put some bumps in the road. We don't need to be them. Let's just we're first and foremost. I also think it's also because we're just so grateful to
To be
have
there.
what we have, and to gain any sort
Right.
of success that we do. Both not having come from families in the industry, it's every little grain of salt we get is like a meal to us in this. There were
Totally.
no handouts. We didn't really have any, connections or Rolodex of people to be able to call when we first started. So we've really developed it all on our own, and because of that, we want to make sure that our reputation is clear and evident, and kindness will never
Mhm.
hurt anybody. So
No, it's true.
Definitely. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, at the forefront, we just try. I mean, I always remember when people are nice to me, so and it makes my whole day, and so why not just give somebody a smile? And we always, sounds silly, I always just feel lucky to be there wherever I am, and
Mhm.
everybody has a bad day, and I truly believe most people are inherently good, wonderful people, and we never know what's going through a person is going through at the time. I
Sure.
think a word I learned, especially during this mix situation, was just to give grace, and hopefully people give grace to me sometimes, and when I was in a dark
Mhm.
spot, that wasn't who I am on the inside, that I
Sure.
was going through something, so I think kindness and giving grace to people, we're all people at the end of the day, so
Totally.
I think it
Well, and the podcasts I listen to, the books I read, most successful people attribute their success to giving gratitude and being thankful to be there. And so I think gratitude is something that is such an amazing tool to use. And I know every single morning I've started this in the new year, I list 5 things immediately when I wake up that I'm thankful for and that I'm grateful for. So when you start your day, just being thankful to have another day to be awake and living, and then you list those 5 things, it's such a great way to ground yourself and just remind yourself why you're doing it. So I love that y'all said that, because I think that really resonates with people too. And it's an easy thing to do, and it changes your whole perspective. Um, okay, so I want to talk more about the little babies. So in Molly, okay, so y'all, there is a long line of Molly St. Johns in your
Yes.
family. How many Mollys are there now in your
So
family?
there's 5. There was my grand Molly, who is no longer with us, then Sissy, my grandmother, who's Molly. My mom goes by Molly. I'm Molly St. John, so I go by Sainty, and then our daughter is Molly Morgan, and she goes by Molly Morgan or Momo or Eminem. So the
So
5
cute.
Mollys. We're keeping a
Five
back to
Mollys.
back to
I
back to
know.
back.
And now there are 2 Erics.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, there are, which is crazy because I'm not a junior. I don't, I haven't come from a long lineage of passed down names, but I just think it's so special, and having been so consumed in the Southern culture and stuff like that for so long now, I'm just like, okay, it's never, it wasn't something I knew from a young age that, I want to name my son after myself. But it is a very special tradition, and I was really honored that and blessed that, first of all, my wife wants our son to be named after me. So that's
I
the
love
first step.
it.
And
Yes.
no, I'm really happy with it.
No,
And
we giggled. We had a totally another name, and we kept calling him that. And then Eric kept calling him Little E, Little E. And I was like, Eric, like, do you want him to be a junior?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I don't know. And then he just kept saying Little E, Little E. And I was like, okay, that is our son's name. Which I giggled. Molly Morgan is my twin, and Mick is his twin.
What are you going to do if you have a third? You're running out of names.
We are.
You're going to have to like recycle Jake and his brother or something. Would you have a Rusty? Would you have a little Rusty?
love that name.
I know. Rusty was our boy choice if Molly Morgan wasn't Molly Morgan. It was going to be Rusty.
Oh, and Rusty is Sainty's dad, y'all.
Yeah,
and his grandpa name is Happy, right?
Happy and Ho-Ho. Well, my mom was Moppers, and then at
Yes.
Christmas, she would always be like, Molly Morgan, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. And Molly Morgan just took that as like, oh, well, that's Ho-Ho. So now it's Ho-Ho and Happy.
And if you know her, it's so appropriate. She's the most jolly woman in the world.
Yeah. She is. She's basically Santa.
She
like,
is.
Year round.
Mr. and Mrs. Claus. So Happy and Ho-Ho are like perfect.
Happy and Ho-Ho, I'm dead. That is everything.
And she told
already so many names. Like, it's not even Mopper, it's Molly. And
exactly.
Rusty
so is Dieter, and you had a Dieter too. I was
like, my dad was Dieter too.
Is the best. And then I know it's so crazy. And now, like, my brothers are always like, can we really change it back maybe? And I was like, no, now it's Happy and Ho-Ho. It's done.
Happy and Ho-Ho. Yeah, because you guys kind of set the precedence because you guys are Sainty's the oldest. So everyone below kind of has to do what you say regarding grandma names, right?
I know, it's so true.
All the
You're kind of setting the
signed to Happy and Ho-Ho.
Forever.
Happy and Ho-Ho. That is so cute. Speaking of all this, how do you guys maintain a normal life when you guys are in town? Because you guys are based out of Fort Worth now, and you've lived in New York, you've lived in LA. How do you guys have your normal, like, what's your favorite things to do when you guys are together for normal times?
Well, that was kind of part of the reason why we wanted to move to Texas in the first place. Obviously the pandemic had hit, but it was another great excuse because we had talked about it for a while, and we had just had our daughter, and Fort Worth is such a grounded place, and there's like such a long lineage of deeply rooted families and history and people here. And so just being here in general makes us feel, normal and completely removed from the industry. And it's our little escape, and it's our little world. And we get to go choose when we want to go back to the industry and back to that craziness. And then we get to come back home and breathe. So really it kind of started for our kids, for them to, get to experience family, and we're close to all of our relatives now. And, the beauty with how things have changed in our industry, everything is really done virtually anyway, auditions, interviews, all that stuff. And so you don't even have to worry about being anywhere until, you've signed a contract, and then they'll fly you there and get you there and put you up, and then you'll get to come back home.
Totally.
So just being here alone helps us to live that sort of lifestyle and keep that mentality.
Yeah. And Joe T's margaritas.
Oh, well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
That keeps us really grounded.
That's the glue to most good marriages in Fort Worth, I'll say, probably. Okay, who is y'all's celebrity hall pass? If you could cheat for one night, you can sleep with anyone that you want, and it would be okay with your spouse. Who would it be?
I'll say hers, and she'll say mine.
Okay. I'm still right on yours.
Hers is Matt Damon.
And yours is Scarlett Johansson?
Yes.
I love it. I love y'all.
We've already established
each other too.
And it's so funny. They kind of, I wish I looked like Scarlett Johansson, but like blonde, big lips.
Yes,
Matt,
yes.
We giggle that it's like close enough alike to our partner.
Similar vibe.
We will be fine with it. I will be fine with her doing that. Just Scarlett, yeah.
One night only. It's fine.
Totally.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, I really want to talk about 1883 now. I think it's time. It's so exciting. I was a Yellowstone fan from day one. Did you guys watch were you into Yellowstone before you got cast? Was it something that you had to binge when you got cast?
Yeah, so Sainty had been obsessed with it for a long time, and she kept telling me to watch it. I have to watch it. I have to watch it. I just never had the opportunity really. And then the pandemic hit, and so it was the perfect opportunity to catch up on.
That's when I watched it too. Yep.
Yes, and I've talked to so many people, and I feel like it was so many people's pandemic binge show. And that's how it was for me, and so I just fell completely in love with it. Watched all of it. Our
Yeah.
families loved it. And so when the audition came through, it didn't, you know, say Yellowstone or anything like that. It said 1883, but of course Taylor Sheridan's name was on it and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Sandy's looking at it and she's kind of reading who's involved, and she's like, Erica, this is, you know, this is going to be the next Yellowstone. And, you know, we were kind of piecing things together.
And I was like, if you don't book this, I was like, you got to book this.
Yeah,
you don't have a choice.
Never had
It's right up your alley.
for a job in my life. Because again, I think it's still the one job that I've ever done, because there's so many shows and stuff that my entire family loves.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
From grandma to little brother
That's
to everyone in
amazing.
between. It's the first thing that they were all already in love with Yellowstone. And so, you know,
that's so cool.
Yeah, which is so special and so rare, because I do so many shows that, you know, grandma doesn't want to talk about because I'm a junkie on this or that, or, you know.
Right. I saw you on Girls at AA with Jessa.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's the norm, is like a junkie or an alcoholic or.
Yeah. So this was the first one where everybody was excited and on board. So that made it even more special.
What did your audition process look like?
Basically, first I actually was sent sides and for the role of Wade, which is kind of my cowboy counterpart on the show. And I had to tape an audition, and they actually said, you know, horseback riding skills is a plus for any actors that do. And so Sainty was like, you got to do a video of you riding, because you ride. And so we went out to Rough Creek actually, and I did like a whole video of me. Like,
how do you ride?
Well, it's interesting. Both of my parents are into horses. Like, my dad was a thoroughbred polo horse trainer most of his life, and my mom showed horses. So I was not.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So I wasn't unfamiliar with the world, and I had experience riding, but because my parents were so into horses growing up, it like was pushed me a different direction.
Sure, right.
You know, hockey, soccer, tennis, you know, all the things except for riding. So then this came up, and Sainty's like, no, get on a horse. You're doing a video. You have to. So I did a big riding introduction. I jumped off, and then I kind of, you know, did my slate and introduced myself, and then I kind of rolled that into the sides. Well, I sent in the tape for Wade. Normally it takes a while to hear back on anything. They wrote back like within like 10 minutes.
Night, yeah.
To my agent.
Oh my gosh.
Love him, but not Wade. Have him read for Ennis, which is, you know, completely different role.
He's a bigger role too.
Yeah, great role, and, you know, kind of the young romantic interest on the show and whatnot. So then I did the Ennis stuff, and it was, again, that night they wrote right back to my agent. They're like, pin him, hold him, don't let him read anything. We'll get back to you, but we really, really like him. And then it was like a month and a half before I heard anything.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, okay, you know, they haven't released my pin, or, you know, they still have me on hold, but, you know, the fact that it's taking this long, we were mentally trying to move on at that point, just so I don't get disappointed if it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
And then out of the blue, I get a call from Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah, we're at our baby moon at the Austin Soho House.
Yeah, we're at Soho House.
I remember. I talked to you that weekend. Oh my gosh. Shut up.
So we pack up like crazy. Like, we're like, we got to get out of here.
He called you directly?
He called me directly to basically tell me that I got the job and that he loved my tape. And he's like, the fact that you rode it on a horse, he's like, I watched thousands of tapes. And he's like, the fact that you started it with that, I had to watch what was happening next. He's like, so great intro. So I was like,
woo,
got my wife to thank for that one.
Yeah, Sainty.
And then, yeah, he was like, wanted to know all about me. He's like, normally I'd fly you in for a screen test, but I'm pretty confident. And, you know, I'm just so happy with what you did. And we talked for like 25 minutes, got to know each other. And then he ended the call with, all right, I'll be back in town in 2 weeks. Let's grab drinks and talk storylines. You're going to be starting cowboy camp in 3 weeks. And like, it was just like,
oh my gosh, full throttle.
And yeah, I mean, just such a unorthodox, you know, process on how the job came about. But I'll never forget it. And it was, I think that was probably the greatest phone call of my career
Yeah.
life
I can imagine. Yeah,
until that point.
What do they say? Like an overnight success is 10 years in the making.
Oh yeah, they're
absolutely.
like, yeah, it takes
Yeah,
10 years to become an overnight success kind of thing.
Chris Stapleton. That's yeah. I think about him every time I hear that quote. It's crazy.
It's so true.
So
That's amazing. So, what was your reaction when you found out you're going to be working with such an amazing cast? You have Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Sam Elliott. Like the cast is incredible.
yeah, it was wild. I was actually in Puerto Rico at the time filming The Bay, and I get a call from one of the producers, and I'm like, I think I was even like in the middle of a take or something, and I was like, guys, I have to go. I gotta. There's a producer. I got.
It's Yellowstone calling.
Yeah, I love you guys, but just give me a minute. And he called me and he's like, all right, giving me the scoop on how everything's going to start. And I was like, dying to know who's going to be in it. And I was like, can you share with me any other cast members that are going to be a part of this thing? And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, no, yeah, we've got Sam Elliott, we've got Billy Bob Thornton, we've got Tim McGraw. And he just like listed all these days. I like fell out of my seat. And I was filming an intense dark scene, and I'm pretty sure I don't ever want to go back and watch what my work looked like on it, because I went back, I was like the happiest man in the world, like beaming, and yeah, it didn't go well for the shoot I was on, but it was another phone call I won't ever forget, because you don't expect these things, and then they happen, and you just like, how do I handle this?
It's career changing.
Yeah.
It really is. It's crazy. Okay, you mentioned Cowboy School. I need to know more about Cowboy School. Where is it? How long is it? What were you doing? Give me the full scoop.
So all of us lead actors were gonna do a 2-week cowboy camp at Taylor Sheridan's private ranch in Weatherford, Texas. And because I was already here in Fort Worth at the time, Taylor was like, hey, you want to come
Perfect.
a week early and we'll just get like a full week before everyone gets here? And I was like, absolutely. And what we basically did in the 115-degree, the middle of the Texas summer,
Oh
it
my
was a hot
gosh.
summer this summer.
Yeah.
We were on horseback all day, every day riding. We were learning how to cut cattle, how to rope, how to shoot guns. I mean, literally everything cowboy we were doing all day, every day, for about 10 hours a day. Like it was intense. And he also wanted to immerse us in the world, so we were even eating the food that people would eat back then in 1883, especially
Oh wow.
cowboys. And he hired the world's best cowboys and hands and horsemen in the world to train us. So it was just, I mean, the little boy inside me that like watches movies and is like, oh, I want to grow up to be a cowboy. And how
Yeah.
cool is that? It was screaming every single day I got
Oh,
there.
it just fulfilled every
Yeah.
childhood dream, I bet.
Yeah. And it was really hard work, but the most rewarding and fun thing at the same time. And I'm so grateful to Taylor for giving us that opportunity to do that camp, because by the time we got to set and the cameras were rolling, the last thing we were thinking about is this horse or these
Right.
animals or what could go wrong. It was just, it gave us the freedom to be in the moment and really focus on the work and the character development and all that stuff. So, you know, there's the best training we ever could have gotten for a job, and I'm just grateful that I got to do it.
It's incredible. Taylor Sheridan is like a chupacabra. I don't understand how he's real with this whole cowboy past. And then he's such an incredible actor and such an incredible writer. He has this tangible star quality about him. And you can even tell watching the show. I bet it was so cool just interacting with him.
It really was. It really was. And he's a true gift to this industry. And I've never met a busier man in my entire life, but I've also never met a man more present. He's got a million
Oh, that's
things going on,
incredible.
but when he's there, he is there with you.
Mhm.
And he never asked us to do one thing that he didn't do right next to us throughout the whole camp.
That's
We were out there
incredible.
sweating our asses off for 10 hours a day, dressed in chaps and everything else. He was too. So it just really shows you how passionate he is, not only for his projects, but for the people he hires. So that was, you just
That's
you don't
incredible.
get that.
No.
Do you guys have anyone else that you've worked with that has been kind of a mentor to you and inspired you? And what did they do that inspired you?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it sounds so silly, but and this is so cornball, but, like, my mentor and the person that helps me the most is actually Eric. 'Cause, like,
Oh,
I never really knew anything about this industry in this world, so, like, he is who I look up to, and it's so stupid, but, like, to
it's
say that, but
not.
it's so cornball, but it
No,
really is
I
true,
love
like,
it.
he is the one that's taught me like, there are also like, Nancy Cartwrights and goals that I would love to be, but the person that is, like, my mentor and that helps me the most is Eric, hands down.
Y'all are so inspiring for couples. I mean, even if you're not in the same industry, just how you guys always put each other first, I think is and the way you communicate is kind of what I'm getting. That really just takes you to the next level. And I think so many couples that are listening can really take that to heart and make their marriage up to the next level. So that's inspiring.
Thank
I
you.
really love that
Well,
about
I
you.
mean, don't get us wrong, we have ups and
Of course,
ups
of
and yeah,
course.
ups and downs, but it's most of the time I mean, I think we just respect each other so much and love
And
each
that's
other
huge.
so
That's
much.
everything. Speaking of just, I mean, Eric, this is kind of a dream role situation for you. What other dream roles do both of you have that you want to do?
Wow, I mean, gosh, it's so
Or that can be medium. That can be like, do you want to go back to stage? Do you want to be a lead in TV show? What does that look like?
yeah, definitely. I would love to go back and do a play on Broadway at some point because I never have. I did a musical, and my career and life has changed so much since then, and, a play on Broadway would just I would
Mhm.
love to do, and I'd really love to stay in the Taylor Sheridan universe. I mean, the
Heck
man
yeah.
is doing 100 things and truly the probably, yeah, 100% my favorite person I've ever worked for and with, and,
And I think that is your mentor.
he really has. He's taken me under his wing, and, he's taught me so much. I thought I knew already so much, and I knew nothing compared to, what this guy's experience, what he's thrown at me really. So to stay in his world and would be a dream come true, and I'd be one happy guy. And yeah, I'd love to visit New York again and maybe do a play on Broadway. So hopefully we can manifest this.
I think you can. You're putting it out in the universe now.
Right? I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Broadway. I guess
Yeah.
New York.
I would die to see both of you back on Broadway. That would make me so happy.
Oh,
That
so
would be,
cool.
probably goals.
Well, we'll give you some time for Broadway to open back up again.
I
So,
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
like,
Ugh.
yeah.
right?
I know.
I think of all my friends that are in New York that, we've been graduated from college now for a decade. And to have all that hard work just to be taken away from you right now, it's so
Totally.
amazing that you guys have so many other side hustles and projects that you can be working on because I know these people that are diehard musical theater and theater people, it's like, what do they do now? You
I
know?
know. Oh, that's what I'm just praying for the safety of Broadway to remain intact and to keep shows up and
Yeah.
people to wear their mask and just that we all can get Broadway
Do
back
it
because
again.
there's nothing
Exactly.
better than live theater.
100%. I just have two more questions. What does your dream life look like in 5 years? It doesn't have to be anything grandiose, but what do you want your children to be doing? How do you want their mindset to be? What do you guys want to be working on? What do you have in the future that you're looking forward to?
Oh, I love both of us just
Yeah,
inhaled so deep.
Mhm.
Both of
it's
us.
a great
You
question. I
you have a
mean,
lot, yeah.
yeah, I feel like we're just kind of like living day to day right now and in the moment and just trying to stay healthy. And, especially times are still kind of uncertain. So
Mhm.
in 5 years, I want all this pandemic to be over. I want us to be healthy. I want
Yeah.
our industries to be fully open and, um, you know, continued success and, really just that, I would
Yeah.
say.
Our
Yeah.
children's happiness, I think, is top priority, and they're thriving here and being around family, and I think in 5 years, I almost wanna be in a personal the exact same as we are right now and just
It seems like you're kinda already
healthy and
living your dream
happy
life.
and
Yeah.
I want us
But
to
I
be able to laugh about wearing masks and all that stuff, I want
ugh,
us to be able to be like,
yeah.
"We're done. Remember
we're
those
ju
times? Can you
yeah,
believe we had to do that?"
Yes, it's definitely in the rear window.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
that's what I love.
I love that. My last question that I ask on every episode, what keeps you guys looking up? What keeps you positive? What keeps you looking forward? What keeps you looking up?
I
Kids.
was just gonna say our children.
Your kids?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they really do.
I think in this uncertain time, it's it's hard to imagine a life for our children right now. And I think just seeing their innocence, and to them, the mask thing, it doesn't faze them right now. So I'm very thankful that I had such younger children that our neighbors are middle schoolers, and it's just seeing the impact of
So
all that.
hard.
That's been so hard. So I'm very humbled by having younger children. It's all that they know. So I think their innocence and their sweetness and giggles and smiles, it's just that's what keeps me looking up every single day.
I love that. That's a perfect end to the podcast.
Yeah.
Especially
Sister.
from my perspective, where I've just known you my whole life, and to see you transition from a teenager to a young adult to a beautiful mom, and for you guys to just have this really strong marriage that you know is not perfect, but you prioritize and you make sure that it's getting the love and respect that it needs. It's very inspiring for me. So I know my listeners are going to be really inspired by you guys. I can't wait to watch you. It's so incredible what you're doing and what you're going to accomplish. And I just love talking to you guys, and I can't wait to watch what you guys do in the future.
Sister, we
Thank
love you, and we're
we
inspired
do.
by you. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you for
I love
having
you
us on and
guys.
catching up, and
Yes.
so much love.
Love it. Let me do my little outro. For behind the scenes information and upcoming podcasts, follow Keep Looking Up on social at Keep Looking Up Podcast. All right, there you guys go. I love you guys so much.
I love you. I know Eric's headed to set now.
Huh?
Eric's now headed to set.
Go to set.
He's gonna go be a cowboy.
I love it. Thanks for taking the time to do that.
Thanks,
love you
guys.
guys. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe and rate Keep Looking Up anywhere you stream your podcasts. And to stay up to date on all my latest episodes, you can follow at KLU Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or on my website at carolinekraddick.com. And always remember, keep looking up, because that's where it all is. I'm just